Hey, in this video, I'm going to show you how to make this Yelp client. This Yelp client is interesting because this first page here has dynamic height rows, which you would think would be easy, but it's actually really annoyingly hard. It's made difficult because it has a lot of UI labels here, especially the ones that are multiple lines and horizontally adjacent. So this is one of the most complex tasks that you'll have to learn to do in auto layout. So just to get started, I'm going to do the basic setup first. I'm going to start off with this project, which has a few things for me. So all it has right now is a white screen. But if I look over here, I can see that it's returning a bunch of Thai restaurants that are near San Francisco. So there's two classes that have already been set up for us. The business view controller class, which displays the list of businesses. And I can see here that it's making a query from the business model, and I'm getting a result of businesses back. There's also been a business model set up that has a bunch of properties here that will give me the things that I need to display the things here. So first, I'm just going to go to my storyboard, and just to make things convenient for this kind of aspect ratio, I'm going to disable size classes for right now so that this looks like a phone. Now I'm going to drag my table view in here and start setting up the cells on the right here. So put my table view in here, and the auto layout for this is really simple. It's just going to be zeros all the way around. So I'm going to disable constrained margins because that's iOS 8 only. Put zeros all around here. And then I can start laying out the elements in my cell. So I'll start with the poster view right here, this image view. Drag this image view in. Kind of resize it like I want it to be. So maybe it's around 65 by 65. And I'll pull in this, I'll put in this another thing. I'm using option click to clone an object here. And so this ratings label I happen to know is 83 by 15. So if I look at the ruler here, I'll just type that in. And then I'll start throwing in my labels. So again, I'm going to use option click to just clone all the ones I'm going to need. And then it's helpful when you have this kind of stuff just to check yourself is actually type in real data here. So I'm going to type in Grand Poobah, 469 reviews, and then $2 signs, 0.07 miles. And this helps me just estimate my layout a little bit better. It also helps me set my fonts to what they probably ought to be. So Thai, seafood, and salad. And I can see everything's a little bit too big. So this thing, this label I'll start to configure a little bit. I'll change the font to be bold, like it looks like this is right here. And looks about right for now. We'll just go with that. And then for these others, these look a little bit smaller. So let's see. Maybe that's about right. And then I can start to maybe tune some of these colors. So these look like they're all a little bit grayer. So I'll change the color here and kind of lighten them up a bit. So that looks about right. And then I can start to fix the alignment. So I'm going to hit Command equals to size to fit there and just tweak things around. So I'm going to use these guides that pop up to make sure that they're aligned. So I want this to be kind of aligned to the very top. And then after that, I want these to be lined against this left baseline. So this isn't auto layout, but these are just kind of alignment guides. So this one I want kind of to be centered with the label. I'm going to use my arrows to nudge it And then here, this will be on the right-hand side. Kind of aligned to the middle there. This one I'll line with the baselines. So that looks about right. So this is just the first part where I have the basic view set up. Now, in order to actually set this programmatically, I need a custom class here. So I'm going to create a new group here for my custom views and create a new class here for my business cell. So subclass of UI table view cell, and this will be my business cell. That way, if I come back to the storyboard here, I can click on the cell. So sometimes it's hard to click on the cell directly, so you open up this layers view on the left. Click on the cell, click on the little driver's license, this little identity inspector here, type in business cell. And then because we're going to want to be able to reuse this from a table view, I have to type in a reuse identifier here, business cell. You can use any word here, but I like to be consistent, just keep it the class name, just so it's easier to remember. And after that, I just need to wire up these outlets to the cell so I can set them. So if I hit these double rings right here, then let me actually scoot this around a bit, collapse that. So I can see that it's linked to the business view controller, and that's not quite correct. You have to click inside of this cell here, so not even the cell, but something inside of it, like this image view, and then you can switch here to the appropriate class, which is the cell. So I'll start to drag this in. Oops. So control drag, and remember for this image view not to use the word image view, use something else, otherwise you're going to collide with the already existing image view inside the UI table view cell. So thumb view, maybe thumb image view, just to be more precise. It's always going to end with the type here, that way later on you'll remember what it was. So this is the name label, distance label, and then just keep on creating names for this one. Maybe this one's our rating image view. This is our reviews count label. Here's our address label. And then finally our categories label. I'm not going to hook up the pricing label because the Yelp API doesn't give us any information about the pricing for the businesses. So here I have all of my outlets wired up. So they look good. And finally, I'm ready to come back to my business view controller. So first, I'm going to create an outlet for my table view so I can wire it up. And then I'm ready just to finish up by coding inside of this business view controller class. So just follow my normal table view data source recipe, which is to implement these table view protocols. So the data source and the delegate to capture any table view events. Then I'll write my normal table view initializer things, which are just the these two lines to set this up. So I'm using Xcode snippets there. It's complaining about the data source because I'm not implementing those methods yet. So the minimum methods for our table view are just those table view data source methods, which are, hey, how many rows are there in the table view? And, well, what are the views for each row? So in terms of how many, I'm going to see if I have any businesses here. So businesses, if businesses is not equal to nil, then return businesses.count. Otherwise, return 0. Then inside of this table view, I'm going to grab a cell. So var cell, or let cell, is equal to table view. And then I can dequeue a reusable cell, something that I've set up from the storyboard. So I give it the identifier of business cell and then pass in the index path so I can return this cell. Now, if I option click on this cell, I can see that the type that it's returned is the any object. And so that's not quite what I want. So I want to cast this as a business cell. And so at this point, I could start setting up, connecting the dots between the businesses that are being returned by my API and the cell. But for better encapsulation, what we're going to do is I want to be able to do this. Say cell business is equal to my businesses at this particular index path, right? So this is kind of a better pattern for cells or views to encapsulate how they want to template the data. And so the way I would make that happen is I would come back to this business cell and I would say, create a new outlet here for my business, which is of type business. And then whenever the business is set, I'm going to add, I want the views to configure themselves. So I'm going to add an observer here that says, hey, whenever business changes, then I want to update my things here. So let me just kind of initially test it by saying, well, my name label.text is equal to business.name. So let's just test our basic plumbing here before we go too much further. So I see the data is returned, but I saw the blank screen, which immediately makes me think that after the data came back, I didn't tell the table view to actually update itself. So table view dot reload data. And what I hope to see is a bunch of restaurant names that are at least correct. So I see all my other placeholders are still the same, except I do see that my restaurant labels are there. So because I'm pretty happy with that, I'm going to continue to plug in the stuff here. So thumb image view. So thumb image view dot set image with URL. And then I'll just give it the business dot image URL. Then the categories, I'm just going by the order here. Categories label dot text is equal to business dot categories. Then the address label dot text is equal to, wish my autocomplete was a little bit faster, business dot address label. Reviews count label dot text is equal to business dot, and then this one, reviews count, is actually a number here, right? So I'm going to put a little string formatter here that says, okay, I want business dot reviews count, and then add in the review string at the end of it. And what's next? Rating image view. So rating image view dot set image with URL, and business dot rating image view, hopefully. Okay, and then almost done here. Last one, distance label dot text is equal to business dot distance. So it looks like distance is a string, and if I look at distance, I can see that it's already been formatted to have the miles text inside of it. All right, so now let's give this another run and see if more things appear. Cool. So it's not formatted yet to account for the different data, but it looks like everything's basically wired up. So I'm going to just put a little finishing touches on it by, say, going to this business view controller and then embedding in a navigation controller. Most view controllers in iOS are inside of a navigation controller of some kind. Throw in a title there so I can see it. And then maybe as a last final touch, just for fun, you see how these are rounded right here. So maybe I'll throw that in. So my business cell, I'll configure that here. So say I think that's called the thumb image view dot layer dot corner radius, and I don't know, maybe that looks like around a 3 or a 5. And then because this is an image view, I want it to have it actually clip. Clip the bitmap that it contains. Cool. So now I have my rounded corners on my image view. And I can see here that my text is getting cut off, and I can see that all my cells are actually still the same height. So I'm going to address that in the next video, setting up the auto layout constraints.